himself. Gawn touched. He would have seen it. Happy to keep rolling. This time Max, the skipper, on the run, around the corner. They've got 8.
And the Demons move a step closer to a grand new flag. Melbourne into its first grand final in 21 long years.
This is Bailey Smith. He's got some great finals form. He's consistently... Jeez, he's not that. Look at that. He kicked the cover off and he's got 3 goals again in a final. Bailey Smith.
After all the toil, after all the home and away games and all but one final.
Play on, play on, play on.
It's the underdogs. Undermanned and on the road.
One grand old thumping and a power outage in Adelaide headlines the 2 not so massive preliminary finals that were very much so anticipated in the week of the lead up, where the D's and the Dogs, who in my opinion are the 2 best teams all season, probably you could argue Geelong, but for the whole consistency of the season I have to go with the D's and the Dogs, and they will finally meet up in the grand decider in Saturday week, Liam.
Yeah, for sure. Also, the preliminary finals did not match any expectations. Everyone thought they were going to be 2 very intriguing and close games, but instead Geelong and the Power decided not to show up to their games. They were still stuck a couple of weeks back, but it's pretty much just going to be a Port Adelaide and Geelong grilling session. This one has to go through the preliminary finals. We've got some general footy topics that we'll go on about towards the end as we'll talk through the both prelims first. And first one on Friday night was Melbourne and Geelong, as we all know, but also known as Max Gawn, taking on Geelong, where the D's were now 125-42. The thing, it was pretty much the third quarter. It all went wrong for Geelong. The second quarter, they kind of pegged it back. They pegged back to about 5 goals from what was about 8. But then the man of the moment, the captain of the Melbourne Football Club, Max Gawn, kicks 4 third quarter goals, I believe. All of them absolute rippers. As we said, it was an 8-goal-to-1 point third term, which buoyed the lead out to, I believe, it was about 60 or 70 at 3-quarter time, and Geelong just had no hope after that. But the question is where to now for Geelong? People are saying, is it a rebuild or a regroup? And are they finally too old and too slow?
First of all, that was a very, very classy performance from the D's. I can't give them a fault with anything if I had to. For Geelong, as you said, they're in a tough phase. Selwood was very, very iffy. He almost got tagged, but he actually didn't. It looked like he was being tagged. Dangerfield had 30 touches, but 56% efficiency.
Just not
in
great.
A final. Again, when we said that he needs to stand up for Geelong to have any chance.
And yet he didn't.
And he sat back down.
Yeah.
Tom
Hawkins.
It's a tough question.
Tom Hawkins had another quiet night. He only kicked even one, if that. He kicked 1, 2. Pretty much all the leaders.
They sort of looked for the future a little bit, bringing in Cameron. Now, whether or not that was a look for the future or whether it was to try and boost their offense in the inside 50. But he could be part of a 3 or 4 year rebuild that they do decide to do. He'll be about 30, 31 when that finishes. But Hawkins is still good. He's aged brilliantly. He hasn't aged. He's still a top 3 forward probably in the competition right now. It's just everything around him. I can't see them being premiership contenders next year.
No.
They were almost locks before this season started.
Yeah, everyone has
with
them,
everything that they brought in with Smith, things like that. But I think they almost have to hit the rebuild, but it's hard. They're not going to have a good draft pick. No. They don't want to trade their superstars. They don't want to trade Dangerfield. So no one's going to want to trade for them, despite how good they have been.
It's just their
how
age.
Good they are now.
Yeah,
is not worth what they would have to give up to trade for.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, they're well and truly too old, too slow. Yeah, they need to look forward.
I'd say so.
They have a really, really good core of players, but it's what's coming up that's the problem.
Yeah,
they have what? Henry? What's another young gun you can think of that wants to stay in Geelong?
Stewart, and he's about 25.
There you go.
That's literally the only two I could name. That's Radagale. He's young.
Narkle wants to move on. Radagale has struggled to find a spot in the side. He's been dropped every odd week.
Who else do we got here? Jordan Clark. He's 20.
He's not an All-Australian though.
Not yet.
He's not going to replace a Selwood or a Dangerfield.
They got Myers. Got Zach Guthrie. Apart from that, that's pretty much all I've got here. Everyone else is over 30.
Doom and gloom looking forward for the Cats. They have a long road ahead of them once they decide to finally hit the rebuild. And for a Geelong perspective, you can only hope they do it sooner rather than later. Otherwise, they'll end up in a world of pain with another couple of years on their rebuild at the end. May went down.
That was scary from the first quarter. Very, 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 very early on, I think.
Yeah. Went down. It was probably about 3 goals into the match. With a bit of a hammy injury is what it looks serious. Like. It did. Though. It looked like he almost torn it, to be honest.
He looked in a world of pain.
Went down to the rooms for a bit, came back out, but he said post-game that he's not going to miss a training session. He's not going to miss the big dance, which is brilliant news for the Ds, as well as Jakey Lever, who looks a little bit sore, but he appears to be even better than May. So no real injury fronts from either team, let alone the Ds. How about Benny Brown? Let's touch on him for a second.
He
came out of nowhere the last few weeks.
He has.
He's been getting the ball to ground at an elite rate.
He has. He's been making that contest that's been helping out the D's forward going ahead because I think we said it last week. They've got small forward, they've got Pickett, they've got Spargo, and they've got, you've got Harms, they've got Petrarca. They've got everyone who just come to the feet. Do
a little bit of it.
Yeah, they can just come to the feet and clean up the mess and, convert. So he's coming out great. Everyone knew out of North Melbourne he was injury prone, and then everyone thought, how's he going to be at Melbourne? But he's proved all the haters wrong. He's just been electric for Melbourne. If you were to tell me, he's been probably one of the key parts of their finals campaign in their forward line.
I tend to agree.
Yeah. He's just been brilliant, and I'm sure he'll do it again from nearly wooden spooners from North Melbourne into a grand final now. With the D, so it's a great turnaround for him, and hopefully they get the Chockies in nearly a fortnight's time.
You can only hope that a 57-year drought is coming to an end. Moving on to the second game, which I don't know what was worse, Geelong's dumping or Port's dumping. I think I'm going to have to say Port stumping, given they were at home. The Dogs had a few key players out of their lineup as well.
Had everything set up.
Couple of late outs. And Port just didn't show up. The fans did. Port didn't. Is it fair to say that their club as a whole has a bit of a, I don't want to say these words, but a choking culture?
I hate to say it too, but you'd think that in the last 2 years they won the qualifying and then they've gone straight into a home prelim. and then yet they've come out and lost them both in games that arguably they should have won. Last year against Richmond, they put up a great fight and maybe should have come out on top. But this one is just no excuse. Had it all set up.
You can even go back before that. Yes, there's no one at the club still involved, but 2007 they got pumped in the granny. 2014 they lost a prelim. There's a few plays left around from that. They have a few good young players, but personally, I don't see them coming back next year either.
Yeah, I think not as well.
Probably not top 4.
Yeah, it was probably their last year. You'd think as a
Boak is what 33, 34, possibly even 35.
34, I believe.
Let's have a look.
So
Travis Boak is 33. Just turned 33. So
yeah, so he'll be 33 going to next year. Probably next year's last year, I'd say.
I agree. And Porter in a world of trouble once Boak and Wines and things go. Who's their next midfield star?
I can't name one. And Robbie Gray will be going too. So
yeah,
there's another one.
Robbie Gray's even older, I think.
He's 33 too. He's 33 too.
Yeah. He'll be 34 soon though.
Yeah.
Who's their next midfield star? Because you got Wines, Boak, Gray. That's practically their on ball.
Not much. Because Rosie and Butters are both forwards. Fantasia's a forward. They've got Marshall forward. No one else to replace like Geelong. Who are they going to fill that huge gap that they have?
Exactly right. So we'll just go through the scoreline a little bit. And the Dogs just took it away, didn't they? They kicked the first 6 of the game before Wines decided to pop in and kick a goal. And then it was Bailey Smith again who led the charge throughout the whole game. And they ran away winners by 71 points in front of an Adelaide Oval hostile crowd, or what we thought would be a hostile crowd, but they were soon put to bed. A 58-point margin in a prelim final is not good.
It's not acceptable.
Especially given you're the home team.
Yeah, it's just not acceptable.
It was appalling.
It was.
It was looking like 100-point blowout in the end. They are lucky it was not 100-point blowout.
In my eyes, it probably should have been.
They were lucky the Dogs pulled a gear back in that second half, only kicking the 36 points compared to the 80 in the first half.
Yeah. Could have easily been doubled their own score.
Is Ken Hinkley in trouble?
I'd think so. It's probably one of those ones that comes down to Geelong too. Is he going to be part of their next rebuild, or are they going to, pull a Hawthorn and kind of say you're on your way? We need time for a refresher. So he's been the coach for many years, nearly a decade, I think. So I think maybe when they decide they pull the pin and say, no, we're going to go into a rebuild, they're probably going to, say you're on your way and have a new era at Port Adelaide, because, he's a great coach and all, but again, he just never gets them into that grand final that they've all been wanting. They've had the list ever since 2014. They've made finals, I think, every year, and they've had the potential to go all the way to the preliminary and even the grand final. Even the last 2 years, they probably should have made the grand final. And again, they just haven't taken that one step up.
Yeah.
So
I think they continue to fail Look, personally, their list isn't good enough to win a grand final. If you put all the 22 teams list on paper in front of me and said, who are your 2 best teams, I wouldn't say Port.
No.
But after getting themselves to the stage they were at, after awarding with the home qualifying and winning, awarding with the home prelim, 2 years in a row, and losing both. Last year, you could argue, was probably a bit premature for this team.
Yeah.
And they played a good game. It was just...
They did. Came down to the last...
It was next goal wins, and Richmond got it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this year was just a different story.
out of the starting blocks, Dogs jumped the gun, and all of a sudden within probably about 10, 15 minutes, they had 5 goals piled on, and by then it was way too late for any Port comeback because, as we said, the Dogs kept their foot on the gas pedal, and Port just couldn't play catch up. It was too much of a lead.
Fan favourite Bailey Smith kicked 4 goals.
He's been exceptional.
23 touches, 4 goals, 3 tackles. He's
come to life. Last week, he kicked 3 and about the same amount of touches, and also probably you could say won them the game. But again, this week he just showed out that he's going to be one of the stars of the comp in the next few years, if not one of the best, probably the best, 20-year-old in the comp. Obviously, one of the best under 21 players. I've got Sam Walsh and the likes of that. But in a couple of years' time, he's going to be dangerous for the Bulldogs.
He's one of the faces of the league in years to come.
Easily. Him and probably you'd say Sam Walsh and blokes like that would be, the face of the league. He's just been exceptional. So, he's easily been one of the best players for the Dogs.
Ollie Wines tried his heart out once again. He had the 38 touches, the 1 goal, 7 clearances, 5 tackles. He played his usual game. Just no one else stood up around him except one guy named Riley Bonner.
I will get this
the goal. 32 disposals. I did not notice that. And he led the ground for meters gained by a whopping 233 compared to anyone else with 813 meters gained, which is elite. And then we go to the Dogs. Adam Chalor. Jeez, he bounced back.
He's responded to all the critics hating on him. Everyone's been saying that Chalor's been out of form. He's been this, he's been that. And he came out and just showed them that, why Collingwood shouldn't have let him go.
1 goal, 23 touches. And then you look at McRae as well. 36 touches. Another elite performance. He leads the league now in all-time disposals for a season. And Bond had a fairly quiet game in terms of touches, but the impact with the touches was very elite.
They were.
And I'm glad he didn't go 100% given the result they got.
Yeah. You could have argued, he said they could have even sat him out last.
Had they have known the results, before the game. But
no one knew.
He's in a league of his own. 20 touches, 2 goals, 1 ripping goal from 2 steps, just on the 50-meter line.
He's become the art of that. He's got that 1-2 step and just goes launches from 50. The 7 clearances, 10 inside 50s. He's just elite, isn't he?
Now, 2 of the Port small forwards, Fantasia and Motflop, were very, very quiet. They had a total of, one point between them. That's it. And a total of 12 disposals. That's atrocious.
You just can't accept that.
Yes, Port probably didn't get it into the 50 as much as they would have liked, but when they did, they weren't there.
Yeah. Considering the performance Orazio had in the first week, he kicked 4, I think. They come back with 0-1. It's just not good enough. It simply doesn't win your finals.
Not at all.
It's as simply as that.
And Port blew a few easy goal chances. Now, the Dogs kicked about 3 goals before Port even had a shot. But when they did, they still were a bit wayward in front of goal. They kicked the 1 goal, 1, but I can remember a few going out of bounds. It's just a
Gray. Gray missed one from the pocket. Dixon bellied a snap. And George Giardi, I think it was, missed a pretty easy set shot.
Bit wayward.
They got the jitters a bit in a way. You could say that the Dogs' pressure was just got to them, got to their head. Just
now,
on the jumping blocks. So.
the granny's going to be a tale of who doesn't get ahead of themselves.
Yeah, it's all. Yeah.
So they're both big winners, both 70+ wins, the Dogs and the D's.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a case of who doesn't think, all right, that's a big win, we're premiers. Because both of them had the big win.
Yeah. It's very much all about composure.
Normally in recent years, it's evident that the team that has the closest margin is the team the most successful in the granny.
Yeah.
Because they fought and they know what they need to do. They know what it takes to win in a close environment, in finals, under pressure.
But this year it's different. Both had well games and just said, how easy was this? Like, we haven't seen this for many, many years, but both of the prelims have been absolute blowouts and done at quarter time. So, as you said, it's all about this: who keeps their head, who has the right mindset, and who doesn't go, we're premiers already, time to start the celebration. So, an interesting one for sure.
Yeah. Now we'll just move on to some general footy topics. So on the Saints front, Ryder and Billings have re-signed, which is, look, I don't know about Ryder. Billings is fine.
He's got 1 year left.
Ryder's probably 2 years too old, in my opinion. The Saints, well, while we're on the Saints, they have also delisted Claravino and equal tallest man in AFL history, Sam Alabakis. And on the Bombers front, they have said bye-bye to fan favourite Irving Mosquito, as well as Ned Cahill and Lockie Johnson. I think Mosquito probably didn't get enough chances.
He didn't get, that's probably why. Probably needs to go to maybe even a younger club who, can trial him out. And we did see glimpses of him, as we saw he played one game in the Dreamtime match, I think it was last year. He looked very promising. He looked like an absolute going to be a star if he gets priced at the right club, you'd think. A club is going to give him a good amount of, playing time, and so they can see what he's really about. So, it's a disappointing one, but one we probably could have seen coming, maybe. And we also got announced this afternoon that the Cup ambassadors for both of the clubs. So, for Melbourne, I believe it will be Gary Lyon, and for the Western Bulldogs, it will be Chris Grant. So, two greats of the club. Also Gary Lyon, the team of the century with the D's. So, also great. Two greats of the club. Going to present to Norm Smith. In fact, Chris Grant was part of the Western Bulldogs team of the century too. So, there you go.
341 games for the club. I would suspect he was. 554 goals, and then Gary Lyons front the 226 games for 426 goals. So both very, very, very good. Well respected people within the club. Obviously, Gary Lyons got his Fox Footy job as well, and he's actually over there quarantining, and we thought was for a media role, but probably a cup ambassador role. We got any other news, or all sweet, all sold?
Long-time Lions ruck Archie Smith has requested a trade from the club. He wants a fresh start somewhere else. So a club looking for a ruckman wouldn't be too bad of a pickup. I was only played the 16 games here in 8 seasons, so didn't get much room. So I'm sure if a team picks up him, he'll get some good minutes and more of an opportunity in the big time.
Very good. I think that wraps it up. For anything else, so join us tomorrow where we take a look at the Eagles season and get a bit of review of that. While also Thursday, we will look at our Brownlow predictions and our, I guess you can call it, awards predictions. So, your Rising Star, Mark of the Year, Goal of the Year. as well as obviously the main event with the Brownlow, which is this Sunday evening, if I'm not mistaken. And Friday's Essendon's review. And stay tuned next week for a bit of grand final content coming your way.
Sure.
So thank you all, and we'll catch you then.
So